Welcome back to the shop, everybody. I hope you're doing well. We are going to start making a rocking chair today. So what you see in front of you is a test piece that I did because I haven't done a lot of bentwood lamination. This will be the first one where I incorporate that into a chair. What that means is that I cut a piece of cherry up into a series of strips, 3/16 of an inch thick. Applied glue to it and put it in a form and then clamped it under pressure, which gives you this nice curve. So we got to do 4 of these. These make up the back of the chair. And this one isn't perfect. There's some issues there with my clamping pressure, which is why I always like to do a test piece when I haven't done something before. The rest of the wood here that you see on the table is Eastern birch. This is going to be the entire chair. I'm going to make it out of that. This is going to be the first of the rear legs, which has a nice angle on the whole thing. It's tapered end to end, and then it has this nice tapered angle at the end, obviously, for the rocker. And then I hope the rest of it, I should have enough material to cut the 2 front legs out of the other piece so we don't waste a bunch of wood. I'm going to use a combination of the table saw and bandsaw because it does have curved cuts on the, or not curves, but angled cuts on the end. So I'm going to rip the one side off on the table saw, and then I'll finish the other cuts off on the bandsaw. So let's get started and go do that. This is my funky setup. This is just holding that while I walked away. But what I've got is I've got some cutoffs that are underneath here. I've used double-sided sticky tape to hold the cutoffs to my miter gauge. And then I've got a band of double-sided sticky tape on top. And as you can see, if I slide that forward, it's going to give me as close as I can figure to a 90-degree cut. That's my hope anyway. So then we're going to cut that off, cut the opposing end off as well, and then we're going to use the domino to go ahead and mortise in our mortises for that. So yeah, that's my setup to get this working correctly. It looks janky. It is janky. And as you can see, that's why I had that brace there. But that's the best I could figure out on how to make this work. So I got it sitting on the rockers now. I can't put it on my bench because the top is too high and it hits my ceiling in there, so I'm having to work on the floor. And it's cold out today, so it is chilly in the shop. So few trials and tribulations here that went on. One, I have to cut the bottom of these legs off so that they match the angle of the rocker. So I cut a couple of spare scraps that basically match the angle, traced it out, and then I'll transfer that angle onto each of the legs. I also think I have to cut off a little bit more on the back of the rocker because it needs to sit back slightly, and right now it's sitting almost level, probably a little bit front heavy because of the clamps that are on there. The other thing that's going on, and I'm not sure exactly what, but right up in here I've got a gap, and I don't know whether this cross member in here is slightly longer than this, or my mortises in the headrest there are not deep enough, because if you remember, I mortised in with a 90-degree and then cut the angle off, so I might have bottomed out the mortise, so I've got to do some measuring there. But other than that, it's pretty good. One other slight issue I ran into is this centerpiece. You can't see it from the front, but in the back I broke out the mortise in the back. It's pretty thin in there, and I think I twisted the whole unit when I was trying to get it in place, and then I think all the twist went into this centerpiece, which broke it, unfortunately, so I have to cut another piece. Fortunately, I have a few little pieces of scrap left, so I can mill up another 14-inch board there. But yeah, we got to do some angle cuts. We got to build the seat. A couple of cross members need to go in yet, but it's coming along. So this is one of the parts I've been dreading this entire build. I don't know if this is going to work. This is my first attempt at it. Hopefully I don't ruin the rocker, but could very likely happen. Hard to see on camera, but there is a line right here. That is the angle that I need to intersect into the leg. Obviously the leg would be sitting on top there. So I drew that angle on with the chair sitting on the ground on one of the rockers, so I know roughly where the angle is going to be. I then leveled the leg to the drill press. So as you can see, when I move that over, I'm pretty bang on for angle. So as long as nothing moves, which in this case is entirely possible that something moves, I should be successful. I'm not going to record this because I'm going to be standing right in front of it and I don't have an area to get the camera in there, so we're going to see what happens. Number 2, so this is the rocker we just drilled the hole in right through here. I've got everything clamped down, as you can see. I've got my lines lined up, and as well with about maybe a 1/16 inch on either side there. So now, in theory, I can take my handheld drill and drill in like so. I can see I marked the center on the leg there, so I can actually see the center in there. It's pretty close. It's within probably a millimeter of center, so I'm not going to go in too deep. My plan is only to drill in about 1 inch, so we'll have an inch here and 1 inch here. So yeah, let's give this a try and see what kind of a mess I can make. This is as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not to mention the glue pouring out of everything now. That, I think, was the worst part. All right, that's pretty good. Somewhat successful. So now I'm going to flip this over, and unfortunately you won't be able to see, but I'm going to flip the whole thing over, put it on the floor, put some clamps on, and start squeezing it together. All right, we're getting pretty close to being done. I don't know much about upholstery. I did some brief research into what I'm doing here, which is, I think they call it a nail over upholstery. So essentially this is the bottom of the seat that goes in the chair. Then we got the sponge or the foam on top, and then I'm pulling the fabric over top. So I've stapled in each row, and now we're gonna do the same from the other side. This side, I have to make sure is fairly tight. And then we just kind of continue on like that. I'll have to figure out how to do the corners. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. This one I have to do, I'm going to stand it up and cinch it down. So it'll be hard to see what I'm doing on camera, but essentially that's what I'm going to do. And then we try and fit that in on the chair, and a couple more applications of 2K oil on that, and we're done. And here's our completed project. I learned a lot in this project, and I have to give hats off to our early pioneers of our trade that took this on back in the days where all they had was hand tools, because I found this extremely challenging start to finish, very complex, a lot more complex than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed the process, and would I build one again? Probably not. Under the right circumstances, maybe, but overall I think this is a one and done for myself. And as always, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking. And as always, if you have any questions, please comment on the video and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.